Alright guys, so I wasn't going to do a sale video because I've just been focusing on getting reviews out, but I'm in work at the moment. Thought I'd try and throw something together, so that's why the audio quality on this intro isn't great, but the rest of the video should be alright. And that's because I'm doing things a little bit differently with this one. So I sometimes tend to do these videos where it's just watches that I reviewed previously, and I'll do like screen recordings of the actual website and the listings, but with this one I'm going to do it a bit differently. I'm going to be doing snippets from the actual reviews, including some nice b-roll for you. So it should be a bit more interesting, but also I'll quickly show the pages with the listings and the prices as well. But one of the main reasons I'm doing this is because a few of the watches I've reviewed recently have had different specs to the actual listings, especially when it comes to the dimensions. And that's why I tend to do these videos where it's watches I've got hands-on experience with, so I can tell you what they're actually like and not just go off the specs on the listings. In the videos where I do talk about some watches I haven't had hands-on experience with, I do let you know up front, and it'll be more suggesting that they might be interesting pieces to check out. So we've got a diameter of 36.7, it actually says 36 on the listing, but I've measured it, it's 36.7. Then we've got a thickness of 11mm, lug width is 19, which is an ideal, 18 or 20 would have been better, because obviously it's going to be a bit awkward to get straps for a 19. Then when it comes to the lug to lug, that's coming in at 46mm. Then for the weight on the supply bracelet, with all the links included, it's coming at 111 grams. Then we've got the hands, which have got a really nice high polish, and they're faceted as well, so they catch light really nicely, as do the indices. Do you really like the look of the Bold Adventure, but you want a budget alternative? If that's the case, then this could be the watch for you, because you can pick this one up here with the bracelet for less than the price of just the bracelet at the original. If that sounds tempting, then you definitely want to see the rest of this video. First of all, let's go over the dimensions, because they are actually different to what's listed. So the diameter is 38mm, but it's listed as 36. Thickness is 11.6. Lug width is 20, but it's actually listed as 19, so that is good, as I imagine that might have put some people off. And then the all-important lug to lug is coming in at 44mm. When it comes to the weight on this bracelet, with all the links included, it's coming in at 136 grams. So it's a fully printed dial, nothing applied, so we've got the WM branding at the top there. I'm glad they're just using the logo and not the actual text. I wish more brands would do that. And then the only text we've got on the dial is that automatic 100 meter water resistance down at the bottom. Then we've got the numbers 1 to 12, and then obviously on the inside of that, the 24-hour ones as well. And then around the outside, we've got that minute track with those dots for the actual hour markers as well. When it comes to the hands, we've got nice proportions on all of them, although I would have personally preferred if they'd used just black hands on this white dial version. Alright guys, so do you really like Grand Seiko watches, in particular the ones with the textured dials, but you're just not willing to pay that kind of money, or you just don't have it? If that's the case, then perhaps this is the watch for you, as it has a similar look, but it costs a fraction of the price. First of all, let's go over the dimensions, because they do actually differ from the ones listed. So starting with the diameter, I'm getting it at 38.5, but it says on the listing it's 38. When it comes to the thickness, I'm getting it at 12.8, but for some reason the listing says it's 13.5. Then we've got a lug width of 20, and then the all-important lug to lug is coming in at about 48mm. So those two bits are pretty much spot on. When it comes to the weight on the supply bracelet, with all the links included, it's coming at 148 grams. We've got that kind of textured wood grain effect, which does look really good, especially under macro. It's not always that obvious, depending on the lighting conditions, but when it does catch it a certain way, you definitely see it, and a lot of the detail in it as well. And another really nice detail with this is the indices. They are really nicely done, nicely faceted, and we've also got some room in there for loom as well. First of all, let's go over the dimensions, because they are slightly different than the listing. So I'm measuring it at 38.3 diameter. And then, including the bezel, that's coming in at about 39, because the bezel does stick out slightly past the case. Then when it comes to the thickness, that's coming in at 11.9, lug width is 20, and then the all-important lug to lug is coming in at 44.3, so that's nice and compact. So when it comes to the weight, because this is a fully titanium watch, bracelet and case, it's coming in at 97 grams with all the links included. As well as having the titanium bracelet on this, there's also something else that sets it apart from any other watch I've checked out. So I'll open this up, and show you how it actually works. So there's nothing going on here, can't move these. So how do you do it? Well, if we move a bit further down, and then if we pull this one here, you can see it actually pops out. And it's also spring loaded as well. So if you do catch it on anything, it isn't just going to fall apart. If we pull it out, pop it to one side, I'll get a zoom in so you can see this a bit better, hopefully. And now you can see that pin in there. So if you want to take it out, the other side just slides out. And that is actually attached to that link. So I don't know if I'd actually call this a pin. It's more like a slightly thicker, almost bar. So you shouldn't need to worry about bending it. And then obviously we just pull that back over, and then it slots back in nicely. The spring-loaded action just pops it back into place. So as I said, I think it's a really good looking dial. Nice sunburst on it as well. When it comes to the indices, when you're looking at it head-on like this, you might think they're just printed, but they aren't. They are actually applied, and they're really thick as well. It looks like they're just solid blocks of loom pretty much. There's no border or anything on them. So one of the really cool things with these is the dials. So they're enamel and they're inspired by Chinese porcelain. So that's why they've got the really interesting, cool look to them. Let's go over the dimensions. So as I say, this is the 39mm version. So 39mm diameter, 10.2mm thick, 20mm lug width. Then when it comes to the all button lug to lug, that's coming in at 46mm. But we do actually have male end links on this. However, you can see they do drop down pretty quickly and pretty much in line with the case. So they don't add really too much. When it comes to the weight on this supply bracelet, with all the links included, it's coming at about 138 grams, and it is a really nice bracelet on this one. So it is a 3-piece, but it's not your standard one. There's a lot of details going on here. So those centre links are actually raised above the outer ones, so that is a really nice little touch. And then on the edges of them, we've got polished chamfers, so they play with the light really nicely. And we've also got polished chamfers on the outsides of the outer links as well. But now let's get a closer look at that dial, because that is really impressive. So as I said earlier, it is inspired by Chinese porcelain, and it is an enamel dial as well. So that's why we've got that really cool kind of textured look to it. So it's lighter in the middle and gets darker towards the edges, so it kind of draws your eye in towards the centre. And then we've got that applied San Martin logo, applied indices, which are all really nicely done, nicely faceted on the ends as well, so they play with the light quite nicely. And then we've got that date window, which is colour matched, down at the 6 o'clock. Definitely my preferred position, but we've still got a small truncated index there as well. So this could potentially be the best watch on AliExpress to date, and what makes it even better is that it's not an homage, it's actually an original design, and there's some really interesting stuff going on with this one. Some really nice attention to detail. So the one I've got here is the green, what they call dragon scale. So you can see it's got that really interesting dial design. But if you're not keen on this, they do also do a different one as well, which they're calling a wave dial. So I'll show you an example of that. So with this one, they're calling this the coffee. They also do it in green and blue. And with the dragon scale one, that's only available in green or blue. Let's go over the dimensions. So we've got a diameter of 39.5, thickness of 12.1. Lug width is coming in at 20, despite the listing saying it's actually 22. It isn't, I have actually measured it, it's 20. Then when it comes to the lug to lug, that's coming in at 44.3. And then in terms of the weight on the supply bracelet, with all the links included, it's coming at 161 grams. One of the other best bits of this watch, the case back. So this is absolutely beautiful. So with the dragon scale one, you'll get this really nice dragon embossed on the case back. And then if you go for the wave dial, you'll get this one instead, which I do think looks really good as well, but the dragon is just really cool. Now moving on to the bracelet itself. And again, this is really nicely done. So we've got a mixture of finishes. So it's brushed on the outside, polished on those centerpieces. But now let's move on to the dial. And obviously the first thing you notice is that dragon scale on the dial. And depending on the angle it catches the light at, you will notice those little gold details in between the scales more or less. Because it has actually got quite a bit of 3D effect to this dial, and it's really well done. So apparently it's oil pressed as well. So we've got applied indices, printed logo and text with the 200 meter automatic. Then that date window down at the 6, which is definitely my preferred position with that frame around it as well. And it's a nice size, it's not too cramped or anything, so really legible. And then you've probably noticed we have actually got a bit of text down at the bottom either side of that date window where it says Ixtao Diver. But that's it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.